just creating lower thirds. But you can't see it because it's behind it.
Okay,
So what I have to do is move to front.
Okay, you can't right click?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Now I've got the one layer on top of the other layer.
Mm-hmm.
If I click here, hold down the control button, click here, now they're both highlighted,
Mm-hmm.
and I can come over here and say group,
Mm-hmm.
and make it one title that everything moves around.
Okay.
Okay? So if I'm happy with this, I can come up here, File, Send Current Page to Live.
Okay.
Then it's going to ask me to name it. We're going to call it Train. And we can exit out of here. Or I can make it a motion title
Ah.
by clicking one of the arrows. It'll show it which direction it's going to go. Here's your speed here. And if I want to see what it looks like, I just hit the play button. And it'll scroll up the screen, come back, and stop right there. And that end behavior is controlled here. So I can have it go over, I can have it stop, I can have it loop, I can have it loop and add a frame.
Mm-hmm. So can you make it come up and just stop right here?
Yep, by stop. So now it's just going to come up and stop.
Okay.
Or I can have it go this way, or I can have it come down. Now when you create one of these, you actually are creating a video, an alpha video, that can be keyed over other things. Because it has the motion, it will go right into the DDRs instead of the graphics. So if I'm happy with this, I can say also send current page to live.
So if I want a title for each news anchor, I have to make each one in here?
Nope.
Okay.
Show you that too. So let's say this was our news anchor one, okay? I'm going to exit out of our title tool. I'm going to go back to live. We'll get back to the titles here in just a second. Because now we're going into our main program. This is where you will spend 99% of your time in Tricaster, is in this window. And you have your camera 1, camera 2, you got all of your inputs here. DDR, graphics. You have 2 DDRs, which is a misnomer. Stands for digital disc recorder. It's not really a recorder, it's a player. No problem. If I click this tab down here, you see how it opens up the DDR, graphics, and sound. On this side I got DDR2, graphics 2, and buffers. So I'm going to go to my graphics 1. I'm going to add that title into graphics 1, and I do that by coming down here to this plus sign. Okay. There we go. And there's our title. But I can come over here, click on, see how that little thing popped up?
Yes.
I can click on that. Now I can edit the text.
Okay.
So
And save and
I could change
duplicate, you
that.
can make variations.
And now it's changed.
Okay.
I'm going to come over here to the DDR1, and I'll pull in the one with motion.
So you have to go to graphics for the stills and DDR for the motions?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I didn't save the other one, did I? Yeah, there it is. Doesn't look like either one of them have the motion to it. Anyway. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you can create titles. Now this one, yeah, I can still do that. You can, oh, by the way, you see how when I come over this way, these pages come up?
Uh-huh.
You can create multiple pages for your DDR. So come over here, that's page 1. If I
Uh-huh.
click on page 2, there's nothing in there.
Okay.
So you could have a page for your intro, you could have a page for your outro.
Oh, okay.
You can create
Or
different
page
pages.
for a sports section, page
Exactly.
for features. Okay.
And notice all the controls for the DDR are here at the bottom. You got your stop, your rewind, your play, your speed. So you could set a clip to 50% if you wanted to and play it in slow-mo. When this is clicked, if you have multiple clips, it will play through each one before it stops. This means play everything.
Uh-huh.
This is a loop. You notice you also have a button over here called autoplay. When I click autoplay, when it switches over, oh, it didn't have anything to switch to. It'll automatically play the clip when you switch if you have this autoplay
Okay.
checked off.
Otherwise you have to hit play, I'm guessing. So when you have that list thing checked, the play everything, it will play everything in the DDR page in the order that it is.
Mhm.
Can you just click and drag to change the order?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can also import several things at once if you wanted to. Like, so you can import several things and it will pull them in the order that you imported them. But if I want to, I can change them around.
Okay. So one of the things I can see, like if you hadn't explained it, me getting confused on, is the 100% is playback speed, not size.
Correct.
So how can you change the scale of whatever it is you're playing or position?
Not in here.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing an ME, you can definitely change the size and scale. But we'll get into that. Okay. Right now, I got a little ahead of myself, so we're going to jump back here real quick, and we're going to go over the basics of how to navigate the Tricaster, because I think that's very important to know. Okay, so here's where we get into Windows. You got your Windows toolbar here at the top with File, where you can import media, share a media folder, or exit out of the project. Options allows you to set up some of the default options for it, macro triggers, that sort of thing. Kind of advanced, the options. We'll get back into that here in a minute. Macros, you know what a macro is, correct? Okay, a macro is kind of like a multi-step program that you can do with one button push.
Okay.
So you can create macros inside the system to make things easier for you. So you can have shortcuts. By the way, Windows shortcuts work in here, Control-C, Control-V. Okay. And the macros are pretty easy to create. If you wanted to create a macro, you click on Configure Macros, create a new folder, click on New Macro. And all you got to do is click this record button and perform the function. Once you've done that, you can assign that a trigger.
Oh, okay.
And it's a saved macro.
Okay.
And it will do it in the order that you did it with the exact timing you did it.
Okay.
Now that you can edit that if you would like and remove all of those gaps so that everything happens at once. Okay, so the next thing is workspaces. This allows me to change the look of what I'm seeing here.
Okay.
All I want to see is external inputs, and I don't want to look at the DDRs here. I can do that, which gives us a little larger window here. Or if I just want to see my MEs. It's pretty much any way you want to look at the windows you can. I prefer having everything right there, and then your preview and program monitor. Okay. There are also what is called mix effects. And we're going to get into that here in a minute. That's where things get fun. Okay, so also on this line is our export button. So let's say we've got a program we finished and we want to send that to YouTube. I can click on this, click Export Media. Actually, jumped ahead of myself there. New preset, YouTube. Put in your YouTube information, sign in, and then you can export that video out to YouTube.
Okay.
And it'll automatically publish it for you.
Is this where she would record, say, morning announcements to play back later, say in the day? And so this is where she would do that at here?
Yes. Then she could click Export Media and add the media that you want to export. And then it pretty much whichever format that you have chose to export it to, then you click Export and it sends it out.
What about just a basic save? Say the students have performed, they're in the process of doing the announcements, and she wants to record that as they're going, and then just save that recording.
Click right here.
Is that it? Okay. And then just click playback later.
So the export media is for the media that has been recorded, right?
Correct.
So you have to record
First.
Okay, cool.
And so to play back later live, I gotta just pull up the session here in the newscast and just play it? Okay.
You can also live stream and stream out of the Tricaster. Now what a lot of schools will do is they'll pre-record the announcements or the news, and then later they'll play it back in a DDR and put it out live.
So a lot of times when we record, they messed up. So is there an easy way to edit it on here, or do we have to save it to something else and pull it into Premiere and edit and then bring it back over here?
Yeah, that's probably the way you're going to do it. There used to be a editing software that came with it, but nobody really liked it. So, and it's pretty simple to go back and forth between this and Adobe if you load the NDI tools on your system. And we're going to go over that.
Okay.
Okay. There is a new technology called NDI, and that stands for Network Device Interface.
Okay.
It's Newtek's invention, and it basically connects things via the network. So you've got an Adobe Premiere station. You can play a video through the timeline on that, and it will show up here in the Tricaster at real time.
Wow. Okay.
And all you have to do is make the connection. So you have software running in the background on your Adobe Premiere system that allows the network to see that as a network device. The Tricaster can then pull that in full screen. We're going to have some fun here today. All right. So you got your stream and encode window. By the way, you see this little sprocket right here? Anywhere you see this sprocket, there's a menu.
Okay.
There's menus everywhere. So I've opened the menu for our stream and code, and you see that I've got all your usual suspects here, your Facebook, your YouTube Live, your Twitter, Vimeo, and just a straight film capture. Of course, there's a ton of other ones that you can, templates that you can pull from that are pre-set up for like Microsoft Azure, if you have a Wowza streaming cloud account. All these are already in here for you to use. Or you can just create a custom one, put in the server address, the stream ID. If you want a username and password, you can put that in there. Then the person at the other end would have to type in your URL and the stream ID and know your username and password in order to see the video. But for most people, it's a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live. And by the way, you have 2 encoders here. So you can stream out to 2 different locations at the same time at 2 different quality levels. Or you can stream to the same place at the same time.
And that, the encoder's there, so it actually allows her to put a multicast address in, an address to stream to, right?
So if you wanted to create your own custom stream,
Which we did.
yeah.
Yeah. See, and
Now you can host, on the Tricaster itself, you can host up to 10 people watching your video live without going through a video server. I've got Facebook checked off, and if I want to stream out to Facebook, I can click right here, log into my Facebook account, and then I can start streaming.
So, streaming. To me, when I hear streaming, I think seeing it playing live. Does streaming mean anything besides that? Because I've heard of live streams, so there must be a stream that's not live.
Right. There's a stream that plays back, such as VOD, video on demand. That's also a stream.
Okay.
When you sit at home and watch Netflix, that's a stream.
Okay.
The difference is one will go out while it's happening. It's on air live.
So a stream is just where you can connect to some place that's holding your file.
It's the
and watch it.
delivery system, yes. But live streaming is completely different. Live streaming is you're live on air,
Happening
just
now.
like a live broadcast on television. Well, it just depends on what you want to do. I'm showing you there's features here that you could go out, but you don't have to.
Okay.
You can always use the export for portion and just send it out that way. Or record it, put it in the DDR, and then follow these steps.
Okay.
And then you're streaming, not live, but you're still streaming.
So what's the difference between the file capture and just saving your file?
That's saving it to a MP4 file.
Uh-huh.
And when you're recording it, it saves it as an AVI, MOV.
Okay.
It's just a different codec.
The API
MP4 is generally an H.264 file, which is
Oh,
a
really?
streaming file.
Okay.
what size is the hard drive on this storage capability?
That's a good question.
Maybe it's a terabyte or 2, I would think. I would hope.
It's a 4 terabyte drive.
Okay.
You've got about 3.5 terabytes left. After formatting and all of that good stuff, plus the footage that's the pre-loaded stuff that's already in the Tricaster. Okay. Okay, so we've gone over streaming code, export. Here's your record and replay. So if I just, oh, nothing happened. Why? Because I have not set up anything to record. You also have a frame grab here on top of the record. So if I just want to grab a still of something, I click that and it takes a still, and there it puts it down.
Nice. So you said record, replay doesn't work because you haven't set anything for it to record. So you have to hit the little settings thing next to it.
In the sprocket here in your program window, this is where you have your record tab, your output tab. Now you see you have mix 1, mix 2, mix 3, mix 4. And they're all set for the main program. You can do 2 records on this system. You can record 2 different things simultaneously on this system as it sits right now. The rule of thumb is for every media drive you have, you can do 2 recordings. So if you added an external drive, not a USB drive, but an external drive, then you could add 2 more recordings, and you could actually ISO record cameras and do other things.
So if you want to record me right now, so what would you do at this point to record what's happening in the camera 1 or 2?
I would come here to my record tab and click on record mix 1.
So is mix 1, that stand for camera 1? Is that what that is?
Mix 1 is whatever's in this
that window. Okay.
window here.
Okay. So that's why I'm at, yeah. Okay.
So mix 2 would be?
Mix 2 can be anything I want it to be. Mix 2 could be a program just like mix 1, or I could do a program clean. And what that means is it will record everything you do except for downstream keys, and titles and things like that won't show up in that recording. Or I could ISO record input 1, or ISO record input 2, or any of the inputs there. Or I could just record what's in the DDR. I could pretty much set this up to be recording anything I wanted.
Okay.
Audio's the same way. I could set this just to record a single output, or just follow the master. And I can change the resolution that I'm recording in. Right now it's set up to record in the native session resolution, which is the 1080-60i.
Okay.
I can switch on auto gain control if I want on my streams, and the stream, you have stream 1, stream 2, and you have the mix 1 here. Well, if I just wanted that to be mix 2, I could send that to mix 2. So depending on how you want your streams to go out, that also can be set up here. You can also record the streams. So if you wanted to save a stream for VOD for later, you can record it as well. Any questions on that so far? So now if I hit record play, it's actually recording.
Okay.
And it will show up And there it is. So we've gone over what this top bar does. Then you have your time code here if you really wanted to change something in there. You could change it over to Litzy if you wanted to, which is longitudinal time code. You could indicate a start and stop time for an event by clicking here and then adjusting here. And this is our message window. It told me that the recording failed because I had no sources to record.
Okay.
And then welcome to the Tricaster because it's friendly.
So your recording that didn't fail, it just didn't send a notification about? Okay.
No sources are configured for capture, so it didn't capture. So anytime this is yellow or red, you might want to look at it.
Okay.
Now we'll go over this little section here. This is our input section. You notice that each one of these has a sprocket. So I can pull this up. This is where you set your cameras up. Okay. I got source local input 1 because we're plugged right into the front. We're getting the camera here. There's pan and scan. If I wanted to play in that, I can actually digitally zoom in on a section of screen, save it as a preset, and it'll go right to that. I can adjust the image, whether it be auto color or use the traditional proc amp, where I can adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, and hue. And it doesn't matter if I mess it up because I can come over here and hit reset and it all goes back to normal. There's even an advanced where I can go into the red, green, blue and change individual offset colors. I can also set up keying. So if I wanted to set this up as a chroma key, I'm going to left click and hold it to where I get the eyedropper, and I'm just going to come up here to the screen and click. Notice now that the clip is blacked out. Basically what I'm telling the system is anywhere it saw that green, replace the image with something else.
And you wouldn't be able to do that if she didn't have the green screen here already.
Okay, so now I've made our secondary monitor by coming up here to workspaces. I've made it a full screen, and I'm going to explain why. You see this green here around your hair? That's pretty common, so we're going to have to come in here, pull our menu back up, and we're going to make some adjustments here in the top, in the tolerances. Till we start to make that go away.
Ooh, nice.
Did it work with gray too?
So now we've
nowhere.
eliminated that green. And now you're behind, you're out at the lake.
Yes, I would love to be there right now.
I'm trying to figure out what setup you... I get confused by this row, this row, this row, and this row.
Okay. We're gonna go over it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so we've gone over what this is. And we've seen our little sprockets everywhere and what menus are in there. This is our ME, multiple effects row. Right now we're working in ME1 because that's what it's highlighted. Whatever's in A will be in the foreground.
Okay.
Whatever's in B will be in the background.
Okay.
Right now, I think we need to move you guys a little bit. Maybe zoom out. Isn't that fun? Okay. So, foreground in A, background in B. This is, all of these controls you see within these two lines are your ME controls.
Okay.
So we have our zoom position. Our graphics. And whatever we do in here affects the ME and the ME only. So if I'm just here on camera 1, I can do this stuff all day and it doesn't affect what's going out over there. This one will. This is our main control. Notice how when I hit take, the video automatically started playing.
Because the autoplay.
Autoplay. Takes a step out of, if you had to switch and hit play at the same time.
Delay, yeah.
And since we have it on the, it did not play the next clip, but it did switch to it. And if we turned that on, now it's playing. And it'll go into the next one and play. Oh, by the way, you can also click here and move that around.
When you go to main, does it automatically switches it to the program window? Because I'm thinking generally what goes out live is what's in program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So whatever's here highlighted in the red window, that's either what's being recorded or is what's going out.
Okay. So if you was in the preview window, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and then you clicked main, does it automatically go over to program?
When you click what now?
I'm thinking if you're in the preview
Okay,
window,
so
right?
we got this in the preview window
right.
now.
All right.
If I click take or auto here,
yeah, I
then
see.
it'll go over to the main.
Yeah,
Or if I just pull down the T-bar.
right.
And auto, just,
Auto adds a transition
okay. Where do you set that transition?
right here.
Okay.
Let's say there was a page in the manual that you just want to print out, page 1 and 2. Is that possible? Without, I mean, there's not a printer connected to it. I'm just thinking, just for the sake of using the system, Now, you know, Miss Turner, she's brilliant, so she's got all of this.
Oh.
But let's say some of them don't. I know for myself, sometimes if I got a piece of paper in hand, I can go over it a couple of times and I can finally get it. And so if there was a page that went to the manual, you know, you showed where the manual was at, and you went to the manual and you saw on page 2 through 5, and you wanted to just capture those pages and print those out, how would you do that? Or what would be, I'm thinking, I guess you could email it to yourself. The whole manual, maybe even.
If you wanted to pull the manual up while you're in here, you could always go to the web browser. By the way, the password is admin.
Okay.
Go to support, downloads and documentation. And there's your manual.
I thought the manual was already on the system.
It is,
Okay.
but you can't get to that while you're in the interface.
Okay.
So if I wanted to look at the manual while I'm in the interface, that would be one way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's always more than one way to skin a cat.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way we could save the link to that to the desktop so we can just, oh, I guess if we were gonna get to the desktop, we'd have to leave the program, so, no, okay.
You could always do a Control-D and save it as a bookmark. That way you could pull it up again. Again, all the Windows keyboard shortcuts work. It's based on Windows. But that's one way to do it. Or you could just exit, go to help, pull it up, print what you needed.
Okay.
As long as you got a network printer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can run that NDI software on your Mac and play the files right off your Mac and pull them in. I'll demonstrate that here for you in a little while. We'll pull out my laptop
Okay.
and I'll show you how you can pull a computer in as a video source.
Okay.
By the way, your iPhone, iPads, Android, they can all be NDI devices. There is an app out there that will turn your iPhone into a NDI device. There's an app out there that will turn your Android phone into an NDI camera that can then be used here in the Tricaster. As long as your Wi-Fi network is attached to your physical network. As long as they're